Ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames et Messieurs, this episode is Pinot and Pixel Classic number 2. My fellow friend Jana had the amazing idea to give you once again my top 10 tips to be perfectly prepared for the upcoming wine fair season because, Wine Paris is about to start. Pro Wine, Vin Italy, London Wine Fair, and hundreds of others are waiting for you to be visited. Tastings, events, networking, booths, whatever your mind can imagine, and you definitely should be well prepared for these fairs. So I wrapped up my top 10 in an episode, short and briefly, and this is what it's all about. Enjoy the episode. Let's go. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 233, a Pinot and Pixel classic. Right before the fair season starts, I thought it might be a good idea to give you my top 10 tips to master your next wine fair. And we start right into this episode with point number 1, preparation is key. No matter what wine fair you're going to visit, it's always huge. There's only a few days available. It's hundreds of halls. Sometimes Pro Wine has 17 or 18 halls. Vin Italy has 17 halls. And London Wine Fair will be as big as all the others. So preparation is key. Study the list of exhibitors. Study the wine lists. Take notes beforehand. Appoint meetings. And of course, check the events list, the tasting list in advance. There might be some interesting masterclasses as well. There's usually an educational program all around the wine fairs. And focus on the things you're most interested in. You will never manage to see all the wine exhibitors, all the stands, all the products. It's impossible. So just focus on the things that are important for you, depending on, of course, what you're focused on. Business, tastings, products, networking, whatever. Second tip, bring professional gear. And I'm not only talking about camera, power bank, because the camera will run out of energy, out of battery. Microphones if you want to take interviews. I'm also talking about notebooks. And it might be a good idea to do this on paper. I usually prefer to take my iPad because I have it in a digital version. I can browse it, I can search for it. So this is my personal view. Nevertheless, I always have a second book with me. So just a notebook with a pencil, just in case the other one runs out of battery or, it's right in between two meetings and I just want to take a note briefly. You can also use your mobile phone, but taking notes is essential. And when I'm talking about professional gear, I'm also talking about a bag or a backpack that is easy to carry, that is not always in your way and uncomfortable. And the same thing accounts for your clothes and especially your shoes. Of course, for some people it's interesting to be good looking, but in the end, walking 3 days in a row on a fair, and usually I walk between 5 and 12 kilometers at a fair, wear the shoes you're most comfortable in, not the shoes that are best looking. Just a recommendation. And don't forget, bring business cards. I guess every one of us has experienced this. Oh, I ran out of business cards. A good thing is always use your phone and have a digital version on it. And pro tip, when you have 2 iPhones, so your business partner, your friend, your colleague you just met has an iPhone as well, just connect them top by top and through AirDrop, just magically they exchange the contacts. So prepare your personal contact in your address book beforehand and then do it like this. I usually have a sticker with the QR code of my VC card on the back of my mobile phone. So different ways, but business cards are essential. Third tip, engage with people. Talk to winemakers, talk to producers, talk to export managers. It's all about networking, it's all about connection, and people try to remember people. You won't remember products, or rarely, but you remember people, you remember stories. Be interested. Try to do some small talk, even though you're under pressure. Small talk is the key. And afterwards, we will talk about catching up and following up. Try to remember those stories. I always take notes on this kind of stuff and then bring it into the story and the connection would be much better. Next thing, it's a wine fair. taste responsibly. There's always the question, spit or swallow, and I get it. If you have a once-in-a-lifetime wine in your mouth, you can swallow it, no worries. But if you are on a wine fair and your focus is, I don't know, finding the next big Barolo or tasting all the Brunelli vintage in comparison, the whole vintage in comparison, it's a bad idea to swallow. And even if you just spit, there is some wine that you get through saliva and stuff in your body, and you will feel kind of dizzy after having tasted 120 wines. It's quite dangerous as well if you have to drive afterwards, but just in general, if you want to memorize the maximum amount of this fair, spit. And if there's no spittoon, ask for it. Or we talked about the red cups, just bring a cup. I always have a paper cup with me, or usually the wine fairs just provide cups like that if there is no plastic cup available or something like this. And I was in Serbia last year and they totally forgot to provide the plastic cup. So what the guys at the stands did, they took a wine bottle, they took a water bottle, a plastic water bottle, and they just cut the head off, and this was their spittoon. So in the end, there's always a possibility spitting is better than swallowing. Talking about wine. The next thing that really connects to the point number 4, number 5 is stay hydrated and snack something in between. Drink water. Water is available everywhere usually. You can even ask at the stands to get some water in your glass before you taste the next wine. And snacks, I don't know, put in some power bars or have a slice of bread with you. Snack in between to, for example, if you have swallowed some wine or if you just need energy, this is always a good idea. Snack in between and stay hydrated. Insider hack. Tasting many wines results in hurting teeth. Why is that? There's acidity in wine. Sometimes there's sugar, there's alcohol, and all this kind of stuff is not good for your teeth. So after 1 day or at the latest 2 days, you will get problems with your teeth, especially when you turn older and your tooth enamel is damaged. My personal insider hack is bring a toothpaste with artificial tooth enamel. So when you brush your teeth, you just re-add some coverage, some protection on your teeth, and it's better to use a soft toothbrush. Why is that? When you have a softer toothbrush, you destroy less of the already destroyed coverage enamel, so it's easier and it's also better for the flesh not to get hurt. In addition, so soft toothbrush and an artificial tooth enamel flavored or blended. How do you say that? I don't know. A toothpaste with artificial tooth enamel is key. There are some brands available. I guess mine is called Bionic. Something like that. 20% artificial tooth enamel. Pro tip. Next important thing. Keep track. Stay focused. Stick to your plan. And if you get the feeling that there's too much in your plan, sometimes things happen we don't know beforehand, add priorities to your list. Do I really have to visit this producer? Would it be something cool in addition, but I don't really have to go there? This is a good bit. So stick to your plan. And when you make your plan, I forgot this in the beginning, always think about there is some distance you have to cover in between halls, in between exhibitors, in between stands. Don't forget that sometimes it takes 5 to 10 minutes to come from one hall to another, even though there's a taxi available. There's people, sometimes it's overcrowded. So also take this into consideration. You need some time to cover the distance. You're on a wine fair, so it is also a good idea to check special purchasing options. Some wineries, some producers have special offers just during the fair. I don't know, the first mover or something like this, or add up to our newsletter and you get 10% of the wine fair prices, something like this. Ask for it or just keep your eyes open if you spot some stuff like that. So the wine fair is done. You stick to your plan. You spit it. You had an amazing experience. And in the end, what do you do after the fair? You sit in the train, you take a deep breath, and you try to get home and just rediscover your work-life balance. Very important thing, of course. But in the end, there's 2 more tips that are really important for me after wine fairs. First of all, review your notes and your meetings. Maybe add some notes as well. What was the most important thing? What was your takeaway out of this specific meeting, out of this specific talk, chat, tasting, event, masterclass, whatever? Because even though you think you still have it all in your mind, 1 week later, almost everything is gone. I mean, you can remember specific moments, but the things that might be important, it's always better to take notes and to take a short summary. And I mean, my summary of Win Italy is part of this podcast in a few minutes. And it's important for me, and maybe it's important for you. And number 10, and this is probably one of the most important things, do the follow-up, mails, phone calls, whatever. Just catch up with the people you met. And if you remember, you took notes about probably the small talk specific connection right in between the both of you. And so jump on this one. It was really nice to meet you. Thanks for the tasting of this and that. And I was so surprised that you and me are the same vintage. And I love the story you told about your father or your family or your region. This is always a good thing to catch up. And to me, it was always a good idea to wait probably 5 to 6 days after the fair. Because the next 2 or 3 days after the fair, everybody's busy. I mean, producers, they try to catch up with all the orders, or they're preparing their review and follow-up emails. So maybe 3, 4, 5 days later, this is a good time when everything has calmed down again. People are more relaxed, they're more focused, they're back on track. And this is a good idea to jump back on this train, get yourself back into the brain of the person you met, and a good moment, an interesting moment you had together. So basically, this is it. This is what I usually do before, during, and after a wine fair. And this does not only account for wine fairs, it's also for fairs in general. So preparation, stay focused, take notes, network, and in the end, follow up. Usual thing during fairs and events. I hope this gives you a brief overview and you feel better prepared, or at least you have the information to be better prepared for your next wine fair. The season can start right now. Let me know which wine fair you will be attending in the comments, or send me an email at podcast@pinotpixel.com. Right now, have fun, have a great week, and see you on Saturday with the weekly update. Ciao, ciao.